Hello fellow fondlers and fans of godly gaming gear, this is Karak and Cadiz from Angrycast Gaming coming at you from the digital wonderland known as the internet because fuck net neutrality. A magical wonderful place where you can order a pair of shoes, watch porn, and see a person try to swallow a 10-pound chicken. All on the same page. We bring you another useless hour of random information and game speak, where our own witless brand of humor can go on even longer than my insufferable reviews. Why listen to us instead of some other podcast or videocast, you ask? No clue. My suggestion is you don't, because we're all kinds of fucked up. This show's been brought to you by no one, because we don't advertise. We don't sell time, even if someone was interested, unless they were advertising how to turn a pig into a mortar-shooting robot. We don't give a fuck. So here comes the news. Shift your starters and prepare to be boarded. Hi everybody, this is Karak from Angrycast Gaming. Today is July 1st, 2014, and this is podcast number 3. So we're going to go ahead and begin... Let's see, today's guest is once again Cadiz, and we're going to get this shit rolling pretty quickly. The stuff I want to cover right away is the stuff for the fundraising and the Patreon. It's been doing well. I do appreciate everybody going there. Now that a lot of people had said that it's at the starting of the new month to repost something, so I'll go ahead and do that. It has done well. I've actually been really surprised, and I appreciate everybody donating. It'll be something that for the next, like I said, I was going to do it for about 2 to 3 weeks, so I won't be pushing it much longer. But you know, if you get a chance, I definitely appreciate it if you get on there. We've got things for everybody, you know, as little as $1, and then higher. Some of the people who donate higher, you know, have the ability to do contests and games and stuff like that. So enough said. If you get a chance, that'd be great. If you could follow us, remember we have the podcast on Podomatic and on iTunes, and then you can follow us on Twitter, and you can always get a hold of me on email. Anything to add to that?
Just that Cadiz Corner, or at Cadiz Corner, is also on Twitter. Will be available as well. I'll add that to the show notes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
So starting out, I always answer some questions and just cover a little bit. One of the first things that came up was Twitch. Some people ended up getting a notification from me that I was doing Twitch. I wasn't actually. I was testing Twitch. It took multiple times to get Twitch to work right through Xbox. I know that through the PS4, it seems to work fine. Through PC, it's a little glitchy for me, unfortunately. But for the Xbox, I kept getting some weird, strange error code, and it took me... multiple uninstalls and reinstalls, and then it magically started working. So you guys probably got a couple warnings that I was using Twitch when I actually wasn't. But I will be doing that most likely starting tomorrow, which will be Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to throw on there. I'll probably post something to the Twitter to tell everybody that I'm doing it. Remember that the Twitch will also be, there is a special Twitch just for the Patreon members as well. If you end up donating Patreon, there's going to be a Twitch where we're going to actually be twitching some of the games as I review them. And one of the reasons why I can do that is because when I get a reviewable game, there's there is an NDA, but it's for Angrycast Gaming. It's for like what my thoughts are on it and how I can put it out. So I can still, to a select group, still broadcast that, and I most likely will be. Also using that, I will probably be broadcasting just older games and some weird stuff. Some weird different things I find. So let's see. The questions that I got were mostly revolving around things like reviews and stuff. For example, I got a question on how long does a review take from start to finish, and that's really it's not an odd question. It's a question that the answer bounces around. It could be regardless. I almost always win it. If I can't win it, it's a multiplayer game, or it's a game where like something happened and I got stuck on something or whatever. And usually what I end up doing is there's an IRC that a bunch of the YouTubers have, where we'll trade info back and forth. So if somebody either has a save game or has something that'll get us to the end, like let's say you're on the last level and you have a bug, save game bugs are one of the destroyers, you would technically never be able to review that game. So you might have some issue or you have a crash on your system. So we can talk to one another, we can help each other out. We might get to a spot to where we can't seem to get past it, and we can talk to each other and ask for help. Once I beat the game, then I write up what my thoughts were, that can take anywhere from 30 seconds to an hour or so. Usually when I'm reviewing, I'm mentally taking notes on what I think of things and comparing things to each other and just sort of thinking things through. And then the editing is the long part. Editing can take double the amount of time it takes for everything else. So for example, editing the top 10 list today was probably 11 hours, which I think I even wrote in one of the subjects. It was the most ridiculously difficult video I've ever done. It was actually frustrating to edit it. The more pictures and video you add to something, the more it starts to break down and slow down and search and cache from multiple systems. And I have a very powerful system with more than enough RAM. And that's it, even if you know what you want. If you don't know what you want, it can go longer. So, again, the answer is variable, but I would say the lowest would be 12 hours, and the highest I've ever worked on a game review is probably 36, which would probably be one of the Xbox One original reviews, just because Dead Rising, maybe. So,
a long game.
Dead Rising was a long game. Maximilian or something like that. I apologize if I got his name wrong because I saw it last night when I was really tired. It said, what's the ratio of personally owned games versus companies giving them to me right now? It's about 90% personally owned, and then the rest are given via codes. Usually they're Steam codes or they're codes for Uplay. I've got one game that was given to me via the PS4. But it's nice, you do get a game or two, but unfortunately it's not as many as, I would like. It really does depend on the company. Some companies are ridiculously difficult. I think you guys heard me mention that one company I loved was Focus Interactive. They did Of Orcs and Men, and they're doing Styx, like Goblin Assassin or something. Those guys, even if they don't get a good review, and I have given them a couple good reviews on different games, they're always really open and easy to deal with. Ubisoft YouTube has a team where they're easy to deal with, but there's some companies where they're not at all. Activision is incredibly hard to deal with, and some other companies are incredibly difficult to deal with, where you don't know who you're talking to, or they pass you to 3 or 4 different people and you're not quite sure if you're getting the game, and so then you don't know if you should pre-order it, or if you should save money in your budget for it, which sounds like a really weird thing to actually call difficult, but it is if you want to make sure your review gets out there quickly, so it's even useful for somebody who wants to spend money on a game. And then Undune, I think, was what their username was. They asked me, can we get more of the top 10 lists and genre lists and lists like that? Yeah, but in all honesty, today I'm so burned out from editing that top 10 list of things that made me pissed that it's probably going to be a little while before I figure out. I'm going to have to put a template together and figure out how to make it quicker, because I promised you guys I would do it, but I need to make sure it's doable without actually removing time from other things. So, but I'll definitely do it. It's just going to take a little bit longer than I had originally thought. So the first section, we like to call this section which is things that piss us off. Twitch on Xbox is one for me right now. It just
can't imagine why.
If it's not lagging, it's got an issue with its fucking. It's got weird error codes. If it doesn't have an error code, it's lagging. If it doesn't have both, it's just not working. I was really happy to see that it was coming to the Xbox, and really, unfortunately, not happy at all to see how it's panned out. So, that's my major one. Another one that came up is, it sounds funny because people probably get pissed, but Shenmue 3 general bullshit. Lately, well, actually, as late as, well, pretty much about every 4 or 5 years, Yu Suzuki or somebody will put the number 3 somewhere. Right. Like they're just trying to this stupid test of fans trying to push fans' buttons about getting a third Shenmue. They've already made the Yakuza games. Those are pretty close, except one. I can't remember which one I played that had the horrible control. It might have been one. It was terrible. I think it was
really.
One. Yeah, it was like that fucking
was
trying to control a rutabaga. It was terrible. I couldn't get it to work. Yeah, it was really bad. But the fact is like I'm getting really tired of him. It's just putting the number 3 in places or mentioning it or like hinting about it when it's obvious after the 4,000th time that they hint about it that it could be or could not be true. That's not the issue. It's just the constant reminders. It's
Right.
like literally for 10 years now. I mean, for 10 years, there's been a NeoGAF thread once every 6 months where he's went and talked at something, and this time he went and talked at some presentation, and he like flashed up the number 3 in the Shenmue font, and I'm done with it. Like, it's my favorite game, one of my favorite games, but I'm so done with his bullshit. Like, it actually has made me anti-want the game now. Like, where I get so tired of that kind of needling.
You just don't want it.
Well, that's not even a fan-friendly thing. That's like, that actually is becoming like ridiculously like almost anti-fan, like haha 3, you know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, other companies are doing that kind of stuff too, like with Last Guardian. I mean, it's not as belligerent about it, but Last Guardian's not coming out, or is it coming out? And there's words back and forth about that. And then, of course, the top one is
they
your
don't
typical
release
Half-Life
another
3.
trailer, and they don't release
Right.
the Last Guardian, you know, LG like in a font and hide it in places in New York or something.
Right.
Like, so there's a difference there. But I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, there are companies like, especially Last Guardian. Those it's like Agent, when they talked about Agent for the PS3 and
Right.
for the fucking Atari 2600. I mean, they've talked about that game for
a new
years. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen. It's just that the Shenmue thing, I saw it today, and I was just looking at it going, man, again, like he's mentioning it again.
Is he still
like,
with Sega?
No,
Or is he's his own
it's
group
his
now?
own group. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing is, like they were talking about with like Mark Carney, or Mark, the guy who
Cerny.
worked on Sonic, or Cerny. Yeah, he worked on Sonic, and now he works for Sony on the PS4.
Yeah, he did Knack.
It's like, yeah, and he did Knack, which was fucking terrible. But
Didn't play it.
the fact is that like I get that they're together, or that there's more of an openness between Sony and Sega. The PS2 was way bigger than the PS3, which was way bigger than the PS4, and they never got made.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I mean, I'm like, just
Yeah.
do it or don't.
Yeah.
But don't. Why? It's this. There's just something to me. It becomes distasteful, and
Well, it's attention getting. I mean,
and yeah,
but for no purpose.
right, and that attention becomes negative. Like,
Right,
it was
over
funny
time.
because I was reading the thread, and this is the first thread I can remember where people were like, enough already. Like, they were,
And
and
we're
they
done.
weren't talking to each other. They were
No,
like
like the
you
topic,
need to
yeah.
stop. You know, either you're going to do it or not going to do it. But it feels so weird for him to push it. So, and that's just something that, I don't know. It just bothers me. But anyway, do you have anything?
Actually, just want to go back to the Twitch thing real quick. When you
Twitch.
when you were trying to get the Xbox One to actually register the process, for me, I was able to get it to come up broadcast, but then when I would go to the channel, it kept saying I was offline. Did the same
weird.
thing? Okay, so it didn't do that for you. Okay, because yeah, I set it up, said everything was fine, and then I go to the channel. It's like no one's seeing this but me, and that's fun for no one.
The Invisible Man.
Yeah. I'm playing this great game. I'm doing all. No, you're not seeing it.
No,
so.
it didn't do any of that.
Okay.
It basically, it just sucked. It just, no matter what I did, I couldn't get it running. There was errors of all kinds.
Yeah.
I went online. This error seems to be the prevalent error. Then the option to go and delete the data and reinstall was wrong.
yeah.
It was actually
okay.
from March 2013, and we've had 3 updates to the
Since then, yeah.
dashboard. So the words that they were using didn't even exist on my dashboard, and so I had to guess. And one time I'd uninstall it, and it would still be sudo installed. If you know, the Xbox One will say something's installed,
Right.
but then you'll go and it'll say ready to install Twitch.
Right.
That means it's actually it's almost
still
like
there.
Windows, where you say please delete. Windows has not deleted it. It's just told Windows
It's
you
put a
can
flag
rewrite
checked,
over
yeah.
that.
And then you have to defrag it to actually do
and so
stuff. Okay.
you actually get this situation where you end up not having like removed it, and
Right.
it needs you to remove it so you can remove all the settings. So finally, I'm not even quite sure how it began to work, but I had to disconnect, blah, 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 do all this stuff. Finally reconnected. Haven't even checked if it says if I'm online. It did say I was online, actually, because I went back later and looked at my archive sections, and it said that I had twitched to.
Yeah, I'd finally. I got a similar like list of stuff to do, and apparently I got a more updated one.
Yeah,
it was
never find the right one.
Yeah, it just happened to work in just the right order, and got it up and running, and then ran it, tested it, and then posted or got the file and then deleted it because it wasn't that exciting. So
And then it also said you weren't online.
it finally said I was online, so it like finished its thing and then archived it to my channel, and then I blew it away because it was like a test run.
Oh, gotcha.
Just because it's like me just walking back and forth between my room and the living room, which is exciting for no one, not even my girlfriend.
Exactly. Yeah, especially if you're not dressed.
Yeah.
So the next section, unless you have anything else, no.
No, that's it.
The next section is a section we like to call. General shit, which is basically just stuff that's around the internet, is current game news. Sometimes it'll be TV news or movie news as well, because I got some stuff to discuss about Transformers, I think. But the first thing that come up was Bungie. We already knew. Update Peter Dinklage's lackluster Destiny performance. The thing that, if you look at how they're wording it, it sounds really odd. Like, it might have actually been what they were planning to put in the game.
Well, they're billing it as like, oh, it was an alpha, and of course it's going to change. And no, we're going to change it even again after that.
But then, if you read it, it actually looks like that was actually the plan, was to have it that way. So, I don't know what's going on. Well, I like him as an actor. So,
well, they called him in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, can you read these lines back real quick?" So. No. That's how you get Wizards on the Moon, man.
They did not do that.
They did.
No. You would be able to tell instantly. There's no computer
phone,
program in the universe that will do what they say. Yeah. And if they said that, that's a complete and utter lie.
No.
So that would be awesome if they were trying to pull that off and say that they had done it over a telephone. It's like, fuck you, liars. Because I don't believe them. I'm starting to really not believe Bungie on almost everything they say. For some reason, I'm having more and more of an issue with Bungie. Like, I think it's because the Marty McDonald thing really solidified that there were some problems at that place. And when he left, and the way he left, the reclassification.
Yeah, I was going to say when he was reclassified. Topical.
It's almost as if there's a pattern here, some kind of pattern. Holmes. That's funny. Yeah, there's something weird going on at Bungie, and it's not the Bungie of old, which is fine, but it is more of a company. Maybe there's something about they run themselves, but they have an Activision management.
Yeah, I'm thinking is it pressure from them?
Yeah, something within. But some of the shit that they're doing, and even the way they're advertising, like the PS4, 4 days for the exclusive, the weird stuff.
That is the dumbest.
Yeah, just the weird stuff. Well, the fact that it is an exclusive in that way, and then the fact that they're getting exclusives, but they're not really telling anybody about it. It reminds me of Activision more than it reminds me of Bungie.
Right. Okay.
I'll just say that. And then the other exciting thing that I saw was Dreamfall Chapters Reborn. The trailer, they showed it today, and like it should be, the trailer was gameplay. And it was all gameplay, matter of fact. I don't think there might have been some CGI, but I don't think there was. It was just gameplay from start to finish, and it dawned on me it didn't dawn on me. I mean, I guess it dawned on me how happy I was when I was looking at that trailer, that from start to finish I was like, oh my god, this is the way it is. April looks almost identical.
Okay.
What was it wasn't April though that you were
in the second game.
In the April was in the second game in the other world. Who's in the main world? What was her name?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
so Nancy McFancy Pants, the chick from the sort of French-sounding chick in the technological part of the world.
Right.
She looks identical, and they did a good job of they didn't really. It looks like they upped the graphics, but they didn't go pseudo realistic. And for me, that was actually more exciting. I mean, it almost looked like it would remind me of grabbing the sequel of something off the shelf, and it looks like a step up instead of, oh my god, it's on a new system.
So it's trying to keep it more that time scale versus what it would have been today if it was full blown.
It might be, or maybe it's because it started Kickstarted.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. Yeah. But did you get to see it? Did you get to watch it?
I saw some stills of some of the pictures.
It looked exactly like what I was hoping for. Down to the
It's nice to finally get, some more story after that, after the cliffhanger from number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was that was, what,
hey, we got a story for you!
Yeah, 9 years ago,
where's the plot? Yeah. Yeah, dude, one of the saddest spoilers, if anybody hasn't played the fucking game, you're weirdos, but
you need to play it.
The one of the strange things to me was where at the end, the boyfriend or whatever comes in, and she's in a coma, and she's like, it's not him, Dad.
But she's aware, and that's the worst. And that's the worst.
Oh,
it
was worst as in depressing, you mean?
Yeah, I mean it's a powerful ending, but you're just no.
Yeah, it was terrible when she's like, it's not really like, it was some French sounding or Spanish sounding name.
Oh, like, for like the
conquistador or something. It was Cadiz.
Yeah, perfect.
But, you know, it's not Cadiz. It's not really Cadiz. That's
never,
not him walking through his living room in his underwear on Twitch. It may look like it, but it's not.
No.
Don't trust Cadiz. Those are whitey tighties. He doesn't wear those.
Stunt double.
An ass double.
Yeah, cause
but I was blown away by just how cool and powerful that ending was. I really
it made the entire game worthwhile, and it was a great story, and I enjoyed the continuation in the return to seeing April in that world rather than in her own rather than where she came from. Seeing the continuation of her aspects, but not being the main character, but still being a good supporting
because
character.
I wasn't actually a huge fan of April in the first one. I liked the story in the first one a lot, more than enough, because I beat it like 2 or 3 times. But I wasn't actually as much of a fan of her character as I was the other lady's character in that one. I thought the other lady's character was just awesome. I just wish I could remember her name, because other lady isn't working out for me. Somebody will post. And then Shadows over Mordor, or Shadows of Mordor. So they posted a 1-hour YouTube. And I couldn't possibly have been more frustrated with that YouTube. If it had been a black fucking sheet.
It was so busy.
It was not only so busy, I don't know what they were even thinking. Like, whoever their production designer is, and you're talking to somebody who's sitting in his fucking third room with wires and shit.
Dude, we are hot. Yeah.
I have 10 pairs of glasses.
We have a staff of 20.
It's 187 degrees approximately Celsius in here. Like, my fucking balls have sweat. My sweat has sweat.
Yeah.
The fact that they did that video, whoever fucking was in charge of that should be neutered, man. I mean, I could not believe it. As I was watching, I was like, wow, you got guys like fucking peeking in, and who's this and who's this and who's, and you're just like, this is the most unprofessional. And the fact is it's okay to be unprofessional. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're unprofessional, but you still have an idea of what you're doing. They didn't. I mean, it just seemed lost, and they didn't show what they said. Oh, we're going to show the Nemesis system.
Right.
I got about 18 minutes in before I started skipping forward, and they still hadn't shown anything. And then when they finally did show it, it was all really bad. The video was poor. The video was actually poor, of poor quality, and so it was just difficult to see. And I could not figure out why they didn't do what anybody would do normally and put a goddamn one screen on there and just do it with one screen. Why not have 1 hour of full 1080p HD video and do it that way? But instead they split it amongst 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. But only if you went to a specific site were you able to switch between the tactics, the aggressive, and the.
Yeah, it was definitely felt almost like a push through, like they were trying to push something on you, or it wasn't even that. It was just poorly done as a whole, and it was really sad because what I was interested in, what was there, looked like it was. Well, whenever anybody says they're going to show an hour about one particular system, that was enough to get me to look, and instead what I saw was 1 hour, unless one of the guys there. One of the technical dudes' names was Nemesis. Then we didn't see an hour of the Nemesis system, because if that dude going peeking in, if his name was Nemesis, fine, I would buy that. But what I saw was probably 30 minutes of really rough gameplay, and just not enough to show me that that's still worth getting. Nothing about that game has looked like worth getting yet. I mean, it's got all these good ideas, but nothing about it has looked worth getting. What I mean is worth going out and seeking or being excited about. I think like I told you, I was excited about them doing 4-player, or doing characters that weren't, Faragorn, the fake Aragorn. I'm okay, they're doing something outside. I'm definitely interested in that. But as a game,
Italian is the
as a game, I haven't seen anything yet that's blown me away. But
I think they seem to be holding a lot back, because they keep showing the same section of where they're fighting orcs, that same stronghold area. They'll show day and night cycle, but it's still the same area, still the same kind of concepts. They won't talk about if there are allies, or if there is any downtime, or it's just
you are the Nemesis, and nobody is your friend.
They're just combat, and it's that's great, but you will get combat fatigue eventually, where you're like, I'm done with I've killed every orc, and now they have to completely recycle an entirely new set of orcs because I've killed them all. I can't.
The Genesis and Nemesis systems. So Nemesis is like the clans, and the Genesis system is like new ones are born because you just keep fucking shivving the rest of them. Yeah, I don't know. I would say so far it remind me a little bit of Destiny in that the more I see, the more I'm stepping down on my excitement, and I'm just putting I'm putting it to the side, because when I started looking at games that are coming out this year, I realized there's a lot more than I had originally thought.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, and we'll talk about them in a little bit, but there were a couple there that I was like, oh wait, that's coming out this year. Well then, I'm more interested in something that at least I know more about than this nebulous thing. I'll check out.
It's visually impressive looking, at least for me. I like that. Like the combat flow seems good. The movement seems solid. It's aspects that mirror Assassin's Creed are in a good way, I think, because I've liked that series. I like the traversal, the verticality of that, and how you move around the area is good in that aspect. Plus the fact that you can cover ground really quickly in a couple of cases. They've got some sort of arrow ability where you can transition.
I guess that's what
really
I'm going to say is I've never yet. I think I've heard you say it 2 or 3 times. This Assassin's Creed thing. Not once have I seen anything about it that looks like Assassin's Creed. So like
the wall climbing and the
he just climbs right,
up.
He doesn't climb up walls. He climbs up he mantles onto stuff.
I guess. Yeah.
Is it like something that you've seen that I have? Like, is it like what about it makes you think it's like Assassin's Creed in Mordor?
Third person traversal of the environment, similar to like when he goes across a wooded area between 2 towers, he does the crouch. It's just little elements of style that are like it enough to where it's the first thing that pops into my mind.
Sure,
it may be completely separate from that, but in my head,
I see what
that's what it draws me into, and which for me is fine, but it doesn't have the refinement that, like, say, Black Flag has, or I haven't seen enough of Unity to
that
to
explains
say whether
it.
or not.
Because I haven't seen this part where he does these things. Mm-hmm. So far what I've seen is what looks like a Eurojank game. I mean, so far, there hasn't been anything about it that looks anything better than Of Orcs and Men, or Risen, or any of those games. And so a lot of times I'll see somebody say, like, this looks super great, and I've gone, like, I'll see a trailer where it does look good for a second, but then I'll see the other, another trailer where they're like, and walking is a new thing you've never done in any other
that's
game.
A little disconcerting.
So you're going back and forth. I think it'll be interesting to see what their history, once they release it, it'll be interesting to see if somebody speaks about how it got made.
Yeah.
And what changed?
What happened?
Did things occur? Did stuff change?
Did scrap it and start from the beginning?
No. I think it'd just be interesting to see if, like, maybe PR groups changed.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Because it seemed like today they didn't have enough money to pay somebody to do some stuff. That's honestly, that is how it felt. And if they tried to come across as amateurish on purpose, it didn't do that very well either. Does that make
they're
sense?
speaking to the common man by their production level.
Yeah. Like, we're one of you, man. Where he's wearing his, like, $2,000 hat. But anyway, regardless. Go ahead.
Real quick. Zoe Castillo is from Dreamfall.
From Dreamfall.
Yeah.
So Ubisoft says that Far Cry 4 is packed with women. Packed with women. Sounds perfect. Sounds just like my pad. So basically what it is they're obviously responding to all the bullshit that they're getting for, like, the picture on the front, which I don't even understand any of all. So many people are up in arms about so many things right now about Ubisoft that on this one I just took a step back and was like, I'm just going to not get involved because I don't know what everybody's pissed about, but Ubisoft should shut up. They did. Yeah. They were like, we got a mess full of women up in here. You're just like,
you're going the wrong direction to try and compensate.
And they're like, we got a mess full of women, and some of them are bad guys, and you're just like, Jesus Christ! Would somebody get a hold of whoever's writing these articles and tell them just knock it off?
Just trank him.
Yeah, it's like a $13 or like a $5 going to Fiverr and asking somebody to write you a PR article. I don't know what's going on. It's unnerving to me because first of all, Far Cry, though it's a good game, and is popular, it's not a blockbuster. What I mean by that is it's not one that, like, is met with fucking, people dressed up like the characters or anything.
Right.
It's not anywhere near
like
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but they seem to garner, it's funny, even from Far Cry 2, they seem to garner a lot of either dislike or like, whether it be because of their systems or how they talk about them or whatever. Because like Far Cry 2, we used to talk all the time about
malaria,
like your gun,
seriously.
your malaria, your gun breaking every 3 seconds.
Everything's on fire.
Yeah, and then Far Cry 3, people had some issues. People loved it.
Oh,
People had some issues with it. And then Far Cry 4, now they have issues with the fucking screen art or the main whatever, the box art. And
I don't like mountains.
I'm looking at the box art going. The first time I read it, nobody said what was wrong with the box art.
Yeah.
They said like fans up in arms about the box art. So then I got it under my. I was under the impression that somebody had faked the box art I had looked at, but it was the real box art.
You thought it was completely photoshopped.
Yeah. So I was all, it's a little like Saints Row,
right?
So that must piss people off. Like,
sure.
And what's funny is I was all, man, I can't even see parody anymore. I remember looking at it going, oh, I don't even understand parody because I don't get it. And then they were like, no, that's the box art everybody's so angry about. And I'm like,
why?
Wait, what? So yeah. I'm assuming that up next, Ubisoft's gonna announce they got a mess full of whatever else, dogs, cats, gays,
furries,
transgenders, furries, all the other classifications. They're gonna make sure that everybody's covered for some odd reason. Somebody should just shut up and they should just release
What's
their
the
game.
botany version? There has to be like an over
yeah.
Like if you're really into trees a little too much,
Arbor,
they got you covered. Yeah,
an arborist. I just don't know why they just don't release the game and shut the fuck up. I mean, I don't know. I do know that I've been seeing more and more people say like, why are there so many whites in games? And I'm like as a white guy, I mean, I'm not the first person. Matter of fact, I've been asked it. I'm not the first person to even ask because as a white guy, I don't notice it. And here's what's strange. One of my favorite games of all time was Shadow with Ice Cube, Ice-T, Voodoo.
For the Dead Island.
No. Way years before that for the Xbox. Shadow. You were like Ice-T or Ice Cube, and you were running around, and you had died, and you came back.
Shadow Man.
Shadow Man.
I didn't play that, but I remember hearing
Black
that.
Lead.
Yeah.
I did not think
didn't register.
It did not register,
Yeah.
but for some reason it registers with everybody if if there's like an issue or that there is an issue currently with games, and that then somebody said that like because Assassin's Creed Unity doesn't have a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Even though Assassin's Creed's already had an entire game based around a woman,
right?
But people are still mad about it.
Well, they didn't like that one.
Is it? Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, maybe they didn't like
totally
that one.
Spitballing.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
But I mean, I don't. I mean, it does seem really. People are getting up in arms about so many things now that I'm having a hard time tracking. Like, what is even important to talk about? Number one, and number two fits with my own ideas of what is not necessarily. People can get up in arms about whatever they want, but what is worth. What really does need change versus what's just a thing that there. Just is there, like, and not that, and isn't an issue. Not that it is an issue and is just there. I'm not talking about being complacent. I mean, it's just not an issue. Like, right. It's very difficult. They had their own game based, and I played it, and I reviewed it, and so when I heard that people were freaking out in Unity, I was like, well, wait, that's almost like people freaking out if you had a male or female character in a past game, and then you freak out if 5 games later you have a different gender character. Like, it's the story the developer wants to tell.
Right.
I mean, how are you gonna?
I was disappointed when I played, Butcher Bay, because
there wasn't a female version of Riddick.
No, because I'm not a Furian, and I find that to be insulting to Furians.
Yeah.
I don't know. People need a cause because their electronic avatar of pixels and or polygons.
Well, I'm sure there is real issues.
So,
I'm sure there is real issues,
it just
and I'm
seems
sure
like
there's probably one here somewhere that maybe somebody can figure out. Ubisoft just seems to be walking into a lot of landmines lately. Like they just are walking into a lot of problems lately. They, for some reason, can't seem to control their PR. They're having problems. They're having just little issues here and there, and when they're not doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Something wrong happens to them. Like, I don't feel bad for them, but I feel like, God damn, that company, like, I'm seeing their name in the news all the time.
Right.
There's always something. So, anything else there in the just general bullshit? Oh, sorry, I do want to cover Transformers, but before...
I was hoping we could skip past it.
Well, it'll just take me a second.
There's no way to avoid it.
But do you have anything?
Not for Transformers, no.
No,
beyond that. I've played so many games with different protagonists, be it any type. I mean, I played a lot of the Tomb Raider games. Didn't even faze me of the character I was playing, other than I'm playing as this person who's doing this.
Yeah.
So being a guy who's technically white, we're gonna let that slide, but it just doesn't. It's not as an issue to me, which that may be my insensitivity or not.
It's not your insensitivity. It's just not something.
It just doesn't faze me.
It's not something that you're keen on. Picking out.
So but if there is a larger issue that does need to be looked at, I think that's fine, and I wouldn't be upset if there were more nationalities or more gender changing roles or specific roles in games. I mean, I loved Sleeping Dogs, and you play as an Asian the entire time, and
well,
I think
remember this is Assassin's Creed we're talking about. We're not a single actual dude is a United States character.
Right, they're all French.
Yeah, they're all French and
unless
Spaniards.
Like Desmond in the other where you don't actually do any of the stabbing. So
you mean the stupid parts.
Yes. The parts that are unnecessary.
Yeah, the completely unnecessary dumb parts. Yeah, it is funny that especially for a game that doesn't have anything.
But
so my review of Transformers, it's one of the most horrible things I've ever had to watch. And I do agree with, I saw some reviews where people, and I'll do a review, I'll probably do a review, we'll see. I'm just going to cover it here most likely. But there are a few movies in this world
you're talking about the movie.
I just look, yes, this is
the
movie.
God, I thought it was the game.
Where I will look at my watch and just go, no, no, what? No, wait, what? Like, time, that fucking movie was so long and so brutally numbing. And it's funny because I remember in 3 or 2 where they destroy like all of Earth and whatever, the one city, New York or whatever, they just annihilate it.
I don't know.
This one somehow overdoes that, and you're left with a story that makes like so little sense. It's also, strangely enough, it started out very sad. It's actually a fairly depressing like overall story, just overall, if you care about Transformers, which I actually do.
Right.
And so I was like, oh man, this sort of, like, I get it, and it was sort of depressing. There weren't as many around, and many had died, and I was like, well, fuck, like, it's not going to be... There was a sense of grandeur in, like, 1 and 2 especially, of, like, Transformers.
Yeah.
And then 3, they had already started going a little bit more like, where people weren't getting along. It's like, we're going to have a fake problem with our relationship between humans and Transformers, because that's the only way that we can, like, give you any stress or any drama. It's an unnecessary
conflict, yeah.
And in this one, it's so far beyond that you're like, oh, wow. And there's bad guys that don't make sense, good guys that don't make sense, things that literally have never been spoken about that would be spoken about through all 3.
Like, there's another movie that we missed.
It's impossible. It's impossible. If you watch Transformers, what is it? Extinction.
There's Dark of the Moon.
Age of Extinction. This is the last one. Yeah. If you watch that movie, it literally can't exist with the other 3. There are plot points that can't exist, and so I'm waiting for people. And it's been pointed out by movie reviewers that like, well, that plot point can't technically. They pretend it does. They're like the Battle of Chicago,
right?
And you're like, okay. But what about this and this and this? Especially with the Transformers, the history, the way things went, it was just an odd movie all around. And once again, somehow it had bad special effects, which is so strange that every Transformers movie has had that one scene.
Well, it's like a special effects movie, though.
Exactly, and it's weird how every single Transformers had that one scene where the special effects fall apart completely, and you're like, wow, the one that I remember getting just destroyed was the original desert battle scene in number 1
in Egypt,
where they're fighting, and all of a sudden, like, Optimus's body and face and the movements just looked right out of the old fucking Hercules stop motion
the claymation
the claymation kind of like those. Everything looked weird. And then number 2 had an issue, number 3 had an issue, and this one, especially with the dinosaur that he rides and actually hits with his sword, he's like, hurry up.
Is it a spoiler to say who the dinosaur is for those who care?
You mean the fucking the Dinobots?
Well, it is Grimlock, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, no,
yeah.
well, you would said dinosaur. I'm like, are you not wanting to talk about?
No. Okay. I would rather spoiler the entire movie actually in this.
Go in the other direction
and just say the ending, but I won't. But no, it's not a spoiler. It's great. I mean, obviously, a bunch of Dinobots are there.
Okay.
And that's the thing is the way they explain it and go about it makes there is no actual way that the world of Extinction can exist with the prior 3 movies. And so you're just like. It shows such little care, but
so it's like a side reboot without even waiting for any time.
Yeah, they just sort of pretended almost like it's an alternate. You could say it's an alternate reality where that Battle of Chicago happened, but that the way things came about. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's even designs are different. It's just overall just fairly poor.
So Unicron, yes, no.
No.
Okay. I figured that would be the next escalation because they've done pretty hefty escalations through the movies, even with stuff that's not from original Transformers.
Unicron's like the planet, right?
Yeah.
No, there's like some bounty hunter bad guy, but that's about it. Yeah, it was pretty useless. So
okay, well, skipping that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooray!
So that finishes that up with general shit, and now our next section is called. On the Horizon 2014, the ones I put in here, Divine Divinity Original Sin just came out, and I'm a Divine Divinity. I remember that the menu music for the original Divine Divinity is so ethereal and reminds me so much of a female monk, the Halo female monks. Oh my god! I actually have it installed, and occasionally I'll accidentally hit it, and it'll start up and it'll go. Oh.
Instantly transported back to that time.
So that game it's technically on the Horizon as of now. It was released today.
Oh, good. Okay.
But for $29, $39, $49, $59, going once, going twice. I can't remember the price.
Steam sale.
Not a bad deal. It was a Kickstarter. It's single player, multiplayer, and looks awesome. Cool. So that one I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna be picking that up, and checked a little bit of it. Sacred 3, because I loved Sacred 1. Sacred 2 sucked donkey dick.
Oh, really? Okay.
I thought so. I know.
I didn't. Play
I know
much
our
of
friend
one.
did. Jimmy liked it. Liked number 2 a lot, and I know some people like Xbox 360, right? Yeah.
I know played some of it on PC.
Yeah, liked the multiplayer aspect of it, but I just number 1 was so much the way it looked, and its aspect ratio was better, and I didn't like the aspect ratio of 2. So 3, I'm excited to check out. I think that it's funny because these 3 games, so Divine Divinity, Original Sin, Sacred 3, and then the next one I'm going to discuss is Risen 3. All have a weird feel to them that remind me of a certain time of gaming. Like Risen does. Like all of them are in this specific time, and I'm not quite sure why.
Well, Risen reminds me of Gothic. Is it the same developer?
Yeah,
or is it
Piranha Bytes.
Okay.
I don't know. But they've all got this time frame. I would like to go to see when they were released, because my brain keeps telling me I played them around the same time. And I liked them all. They're all Eurojank kind of that, where shit just, sometimes things don't feel, I wish
it's barely held together.
I should somehow like post a picture of what in my head when I say Eurojank, what I mean, because there's a feeling of what Eurojank is that is so difficult. But for example, on Sacred 3, one of the issues that I'm having is almost all of them have DLC, and it's starting to piss me off. It was pissing me off in reviews I was doing this last week, and it's just pissing me off in other podcasts, but they've got like this underworld kind of DLC, and I'm like, it's just one more DLC where you're not going to be able to play it. It reminds me of that Batman DLC where you were fucking Catwoman.
Oh yeah,
and I was
it's a good portion of the story and like 2 sections of the
and
entire game.
the new Batman is that fucking what's her name DLC.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing that again?
Yeah, they're doing Harley Quinn story DLC.
Right.
And I'm just like,
DLC
I'm getting really tired of the DLC that was the game. Like, if you want to do any other kind of DLC, I almost always back the company and just don't have a problem. I don't even have a problem with pay to win. A lot of people do, but I'm like, hey, listen, if Joe Bob wants to pay $8 and to win the game, how do I even first of all, why would I give a fuck what Joe Bob's doing?
Yeah.
And so the only people technically, if I have an issue with that kind of DLC, are people I know. Why would I have an issue with you if you don't have the time paying, $10
to level up faster,
to level up faster, or to unlock the ability to, let's say, do a different difficulty, which is I've always been surprised that they haven't done that. But can you imagine how pissed people would be difficulty levels? Because remember how pissed I was when I came to you and was like, I can't switch my fucking UI bars around in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic because I was a premium at the time and had to do premium.
It's unnecessary.
But back to those games. So Sacred 3, with its Underworld story DLC, Risen 3, and then Divine Divinity Original Sin, I'm all super, super looking forward to. I think that they all have a feel to them that's slightly different, where, like, Divine Divinity has the multiplayer, but it's co-op, and it's a little bit more... I think it's probably going to be a little bit more of a solid foundation, not as flashy. Okay. Sacred does have a tendency. Sacred 2, I remember, was fairly flashy when it came out.
Yeah.
People were like, "Whoa, that looks awesome."
Yeah.
So Sacred 3, it's going to be interesting to see like how it runs and and just overall what it's like. And then with Risen, I have no clue.
I didn't even know this existed until you put the.
I have no clue. I own the other 2 Risen games, and
I have the second one.
Which is what's that called?
That's the pirate one.
Pirate one.
Something Waters, Dark Waters.
Well, it reminds me of Two Worlds. Two Worlds 1 and 2. Like those games, there's a specific feel to them, and I'm a sucker for them. And I love. What was it called? Did you just say Risen 2 was called what? Or were you teasing?
No, I was saying Pirates of Dark Water, which is
we'll call it Pirates of Dark Water. Even though
Pirates
that's
of something water.
Yeah.
Pirates
of Penzance Water.
It's a musical.
Take my sword in your hand.
We'll pillage your ship.
That sounds a little dirty. But and then the last one for me is Sims 4, which so this is crazy. I didn't know Sims 4 was coming out this year. I don't know how. I
thought it was just a preview for the.
And then number 2, that bullshit about them removing fucking toddlers, create a sim, and pools, swimming pools.
Yeah,
we can't understand how to cut a rectangle out of geometry anymore. Like, I don't know, and his bullshit excuse of like we can't put every fuck you every feature from 3. He said every feature from 3. Some of those features are from like 1.
Right.
It's just complete utter trash. That's a company that, unlike Ubisoft. That's a company that needs to be trashed. That kind of bullshit. And they're the ones
Maxis
that never...
or EA?
Maxis and EA, definitely. And definitely Maxis, because they're the developers, so fuck them.
Okay.
And if they want to get involved in that kind of situation, then, it's like, you're going to smell like shit. Like the other person. And I have no, like for Maxis over EA. Like, I have no...
I'm just worried they're going to pull the same thing as SimCity and make it online only, and that whole destruction...
They're not making it online only, but they're doing the same thing they always do. They never lower the price. Price. How many fucking years pass by? And you go and look, and it'll be like $19.99 for the, at the school edition of Sims 3, which is like 16 items. You get a
desk,
You get a desk.
Some chalk.
You get acne and the fucking ability to drive a VW bug to a fucking school and go to one class. And then it's funny because I still remember I had the Xbox version of Herbs, which was the street version of like Sims.
Where they had like the Black Eyed Peas singing.
Yeah, there was more in that game available than there is in the recent ones. And then Sims Adventures was incredible.
That's cool. Yeah.
Sims Adventures was not in line with the other Sims games, and Sims Medieval was also very interesting. Sims Adventures was almost like Sims Medieval from a farther aspect away, because I am a Sims fan. I get every Sims game. This will be the first one where I won't get it very close. Well, I've never got them day one, but I won't get it right away, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. Now,
creative style is not going to piss me off for losing, but toddler, like, that's apparently in their world, like, you just fucking you're a sperm and then suddenly you're popping out of your mom at 15. Like, it's going to be creepy. And then
I don't know how they're going to do
and then swimming pools. It was a blast. And swimming pools were a place where not only could you raise entertainment, you could wash your character, you could there was like, they could relieve themselves. There was like 15 things that could happen in the pool. It was actually a very useful tool.
They have like the exercise and stuff too.
Yep. For people who wanted to use it in a particular way, the swimming pools and stuff like that were very useful. And I find it completely unacceptable that they got it.
This is one of the most based constructions in a game. Like, it's harder to, I'd imagine, design a functioning shower or chair in a game than it would be to do a pool, because it's a lot of the same assets over and over again. It has a certain depth. It doesn't really do anything because it's just water. It's not actually, there's no ocean waves, there's no...
And you can't, there's no geometry to it where, like, if you were to cut a hole, it doesn't, like, flow and fucking, you know,
there's
it
no
won't,
water
like,
physics.
yeah, you can't, like, drown the rest of the Sims. So, do you have any for this, for 2014?
It's now the only thing on, like, that's even on the radar right now is just all updates for existing games, like, you know, your Game of the Year.
Oh, that we had talked about,
yeah. That's that fest right now, since it's July, the dead month.
Yeah, they're doing. It does seem like they've got a lot of updates for games coming out. You know, that's you had showed me Saints Row 4 and stuff like that with like this.
And
you know,
Forza
Survivor
5.
Ultimate Presidential University, Universal Reality
National Edition
or whatever. Yeah, I was surprised by that. But that's cool because at $29 or whatever the price was, you're still getting the DLC for an extraordinarily low price.
Yeah, so if you haven't played it,
because I think I bought all the DLC at full price, and I think like that game turned out to be like a $150 game.
Ooh, okay.
You know, so and then so for 2015, what do we got for that? Oh, it looks like Batman Arkham Knight.
Yep.
Rocksteady.
Yeah, with the Harley Quinn DLC apparently.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And what were you saying? He won't kill anybody? What?
Oh, so Batman's notorious for he won't kill anybody, but like if you played these games, he will put pretty much everybody in the hospital.
Yeah, like bullshit. He doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah, he like you'll be breathing through a straw for the rest of your existence.
And he fucking whenever he does this on somebody's body, what are they trying to say that he's? What are they doing? Saying that like he just like helping?
No,
they're
just sleepy. They're just sleepy now. It's the sleepy movie.
He drives over people with cars.
That's
in
the thing.
In the fighting game.
That's what I'm thinking now. Is like, okay, they're stepping it up a notch since you used the Batmobile extensively in this game. That sure he isn't going to kill people, but you're going to run him over.
Using the Batmobile is going to be such a weird. I mean, I guess it's just basically you're doing Watch Dogs. You know.
Yeah.
You're a character who can get in a vehicle and run around. You have gadgets, so it will be really incredibly weird to see that and then do the leaping, jumping, running, swinging of Batman. It will be a really odd mixture. So if anybody can pull it off, they can. I'm excited to see them get done with this because I feel that they are done. This will be their last one. And I feel that Spider-Man is done. I would love to see a new superhero. I think it's time to like...
You mean you have Rocksteady do it or just in general?
In general, Rocksteady seems to do superheroes fairly well. Yeah. But, I like Deadpool. I loved the Deadpool game, even though I had issues, and he's a great character. Yeah. But it's time to do other superheroes. It's time to break out of the Fantastic Four, the X-Men,
I was going to say, who's hot right now?
Yeah, it's time to break out of those characters. You can do a side one on those, but I mean...
I liked the Captain America game. That was pretty good.
I didn't get to play that, but like, I told you, I thought I would hate the Thor movie, and I liked Thor, and it's made me more and more go, like, could you do a game based... like where you were a protector of realms or something. Okay. So like you not spent some of your time in your area, but then you had an overarching story where like you went to other realms and fought.
Bring management aspects to it.
Not management necessarily, but like an overarching feeling of not just Earth. I guess I didn't just want Earth. I was like, that's been done in the movies.
Sure.
So the idea of like that, because he was like, this is Elmheim, and they have all those different names. And there's different realms that they protect. That would be super cool to me to have him like traversing and going between the worlds and stuff like that. You also have his 5 or 6 friends that are all very cool. It's really funny. Of all of the superheroes that I've seen lately, it's dawned on me maybe one of the reasons why I like Thor so much is that his friends, the superhero friends he has, or whatever you want to call them, are actually interesting to me, and I haven't got to hear more about them.
Oh, okay.
Where a lot of superheroes don't have any kind of companionship. Thor is a team.
Just you against the world, yeah.
Thor, in the movie, he's mostly not a team. He shows up, and then at the end of number 1, they come and help him.
Right.
And they basically they get rolled. Yeah. The dude who looks like the Hawkman from fucking Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
I love that actor, and I love the...
I think he played the Punisher in one
He did.
Of the movies.
He played the Punisher, yeah. He was awesome, and the hottie who is like
Sif.
his second in command. But I want a Thor movie or a Thor game would be great. Any kind of game with a character that's just not as well known as we're seeing right now. Thor has, obviously, Thor fights creatures and stuff that can damage him.
Right.
So that would be worth seeing because he can be damaged. That's another thing. It's why I do somewhat like the Batman games, because he can be damaged. So whoever your superhero is has to, ability has to be hurt. It can't be Superman.
I was gonna say, not like
it
Superman.
Can't be.
Like the last
I don't want a Superman. I don't want a Wolverine. I don't want those characters that are impervious. I want a character where there's some kind of sense of danger, because that's where story comes from. Story comes from danger. Okay. It doesn't come from lack of damage. And there are a lot of superheroes out there that just don't, like, you see them for a second and you're like,
right,
whoa, that's fucking cool, and then they don't.
Well, so like again. You're looking for something that's like not a well-known.
Wouldn't even have to not be a well-known. It could be one of the well-known ones. Just not. I mean, for example, Cyclops is not impervious to damage.
Right.
Even though I don't like Cyclops that much.
Right.
But he's not impervious to damage. A Cyclops game or whatever. Right. Even though I don't think that would work out, would still work better than a game where the character was like Superman, where he can't be hurt.
Well, I'm thinking like if Guardians of the Galaxy does pretty well, I wouldn't mind seeing a game set in that section, because it's not on Earth; it's out in the universe.
I don't know anything about it other than that, and I know everybody's going to be mad, but I think it looks like the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, I know it's super popular. I guess
that's the thing. It's like it's very unknown for those who haven't read it. I mean, I've read the comics and I know pretty well about two of the characters on the team because they were in a different thing that has to do with the Avengers Thanos Infinity Gauntlet stuff. They're from that side of it.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but I don't know anything about the raccoon or about Groot.
You remember
about the main character guy?
It's funny because when we were younger, there was a time when like superhero movies didn't have to be angsty and everybody didn't have to be full of shit. And it feels to me like Guardians of the Galaxy is the same anti-hero switch that superheroes dealt with, and that Guardians of the Galaxy is like, we're not cool anymore. We're making like a goofy switch, and so here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's your anti-hero system for this, for the Fantastic Four, or for the Avengers, for all your awesome superhero teams. Here's your goofy.
Like,
falling
other
into
things. Success,
yeah, and then with movies there was anti-heroes. I mean, I remember when there was no such thing as an anti-hero, and it was not a problem with anybody. Nobody had any issues with Superman having no problems, like he did. And then everybody did, and then everything was angsty and grunge, and Kurt Cobain came around, was playing his music, and then he died. And it was like, thank God, because shit went back to like somewhat normal. I'm the man in the box. That was the one good thing.
Like Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains was the one good thing to come out of. Even though I'm sure people will be pissed about that.
Oh, of course.
I actually like some of them.
No, I mean, there's other things like,
but
you may talk about it later because I remember you making mention of it. But like, I wouldn't mind seeing a Constantine game.
Yeah, I will talk about it. I mean, we can talk. No, yeah, I guess we won't talk about it now. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, a Constantine game would be good. But anyway, so Guardians of the Galaxy, something like that would be interesting. When it comes to superheroes, so we'll see with Batman getting finished up. That's my belief, is that it's finishing up. Could be wrong. And then so you put Mad Max. Here's what's crazy about Mad Max.
Okay.
Everything you read, and everything they've released about Mad Max is almost 99% about melee. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
melee.
Because ammo's scarce, even though you've got a shotgun.
Yeah,
you want to keep that in mind.
And you don't have your car until the very end of the game. That's
okay, because I know that one of the driving forces is getting your car and then getting parts for your car.
You get your car, and that's it. The entire game's about searching for your car.
Well,
and here's the weird thing though. But again, that's not even what I'm talking about.
Okay,
I'm talking about the fact that every single thing they've talked about is about hand-to-hand fighting. Everything. It's a car vehicular movie,
right?
And everything they've mentioned
is
about melee or melee, whatever way. That makes me nervous. Like, that is like a flight game where everything they talk about is fucking taxiing
the ground crew
or the ground crew. Like the longer it goes, the more. I mean, I even looked up the Wikipedia, and it was like, he has a shotgun and he has a choice of blah 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 blah. And I was just reading it, going, they don't even talk about the car. And then it says at the bottom, based on the movie Mad Max, it was a car vehicular, like combat movie. And I was like, what is going on?
I'm hoping
I don't know.
they're not talking about it yet. I mean, because it's.
They must.
It's like late 2015, isn't it?
It's weird. I don't know. It's so. Well, I thought it was delayed too, but it can't be that late because they already showed the entire preview to, was it IGN or GameFly? But whoever it was, it pissed him off so much that he was American that they switched the accent. They hired a different
new
person.
voice actor. Yeah.
So obviously they were at the point of playing, and the point of accent, and the point of all that.
Sure.
And they have not mentioned a single word about it. And so, and then what they have said is, you don't have your car. So to me, it's like, what? That makes zero sense. Like, 0 sense at all. It's the main issue, the main thing about Mad Max, and watch the movies.
Right.
Starting the movie is
Road Warrior, yeah.
It starts out, and you just know. You're like, oh, this is a Road Warrior movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is how he starts out. Now, he may lose the car, and it's...
like a Metroid
Yeah, or like number 3, where number 3 just completely fucking sucked. You know? I mean, number 3 was like one of the worst movies ever made. And it's like, you've got these cannibal children living in a fucking, a 747 in the middle of nowhere with some water.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? They've got like an oasis somewhere.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have his car through the entire movie. Most of the movie. And, I do believe that's one of the reasons why it sucked. I mean, Mad Max is about the car. I mean, it's everything you see. As a little kid, I will say the shotgun was pretty cool, but as a little kid, you never thought about anything else. And the gyrocopter,
yeah,
I mean, the gyrocopter was cool, but it was that car, and it'll be weird to see what comes out of that. I'm just hoping something comes out of it. So, yeah. And then Quantum Break, you put on there.
Yeah, so I'm interested because I like what Remedy's done with their past games. The first 2 Max Payne games, and then Alan Wake.
First really 3 stuff. Max Payne, didn't they do the third one?
I thought too? Rockstar did. Maybe Rockstar only published it, but I thought Rockstar bought and took over Max Payne 3.
Oh, gotcha.
And I didn't play that one. I only played 1 and 2.
3 was fun.
It was a good. Okay, yeah. I'll have to double back and play that one. But yeah, I liked Alan Wake and the feel of playing that game and the way it was set up like episodes, and having the breaking point, last time.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a cool concept, and like the not completely balls out overpowered superhero of he's just a dude who's
with
a writer.
The worst flashlight ever.
Okay, yes. Granted, it is the most... It's like the worst advertisement for Energizer because
it reminded me of those fucking ones where you have the grip that you press and it makes a grinding sound and then it lights up. It generates the dynamo.
So you detonate that.
Yeah, but I've never... Those are the worst flashlights I've ever seen. Like, if you're gonna put the dynamic in the game, sprinting.
Yeah, we're back to that again.
Then you need to fucking make the dynamic have some kind of sense. That fucker's
no battery's 2 seconds long.
And that's the big thing. That's the big thing. The battery, the gun, sorry, not the gun, but the flashlight they even show in the fucking HUD is the type of flashlight that is on purpose that size and shape.
Yeah.
Due to its longevity, or because of its longevity, not due to it, but because of its longevity, which is
with an LED,
12 plus hours. Yeah. It's why cops, fucking use them all beat long. Beat people up with him, and then he gets it, and suddenly he's like one of those guys who can't keep his watch running right. It's like, oh yeah,
he's got his own magnetic field that's just draining it constantly.
Yeah. Oh man, that pissed me off. But the game as a whole,
it's a cool concept.
I'm a little sad because I have a sinking feeling we will never see another Alan Wake. And I thought,
I didn't play American Nightmare.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Was it good? Okay.
Yeah. I have a sinking feeling we will not see another one. It doesn't look like they're going towards that. It doesn't look... those games did not do tremendously well.
Okay.
And Quantum Break has... Even though Alan Wake had remember the publicity behind Alan Wake, how big it was when he jumped over that little set of logs in front of the lighthouse in the trailer, and people were like...
Just the lighting is the lighting aspects of it,
and it was to me it paid off. As in the game I got was easily equal to what I thought. And then you read people were pissed because it wasn't open world, but that's to me it was supposed to be supposedly.
Oh really?
But I don't really care about that because it's what I get is what I get. Like I can't go back in time and fix the developers. Now if what they made you can tell that it was supposed to be free world and it's not. Then I will. For example, Watch Dogs had some invisible walls in places where I was like, You know, was this bigger at one point, or is this DLC? Because remember, like the map,
hit that yet.
the map doesn't look as big as like.
Yes,
there's some things about Watch Dogs that makes you go like, is this game?
This is really Chicago.
Is this really supposed to be bigger?
Small.
Yeah, this is like Chicago suburb number 1.
Yeah.
This isn't like Chicago. This is like a hotel and some transients and a prostitute and fucking 4 cars
and
like,
sprinkle
compared to what you assume it should be.
Yeah.
So, Alan Wake never felt that way. I think Quantum Break looks insane. I think whoever names these Quantum Break, Alan Wake, the next one will be like, you know, something
Shake
Slate,
and Bake.
Shake and Bake. You know? I mean, there's something that's oddly strange about their naming conventions, and I love the fact that it's almost always like somewhat a rendition of him, of the owner,
of the developer guy who is Max Payne.
He's
that's great.
with his
That's
squint.
great.
With his
It's the
squint.
best.
So I'm excited to see it. Since I don't know what it is,
It's
I'm not
it's hard to
too
say because
excited,
they haven't really talked too much about it, but like I'm hoping their intent, they've been kind of vague about this as well, but I hope their intent to have a Microsoft produced show to go along with that is that since that supposedly affects the game and is affected by the game, that kind of thing, kind of like Defiance in certain ways. I'm hoping that turns out actually well and or popular if it's a well produced show. You know, something nice to watch with that, but again, I don't know how could you even do that? I know that's
has
like
anything ever succeeded.
Well, it seems incredibly
like
ambitious.
But,
But
it's happened before. It's come up before.
Yeah.
Defiance, the game didn't do well. Defiance TV shows in its 2nd or 3rd season. Defiance, the TV show is good. Defiance, the game, I loved. We played co-op together.
Yeah.
Or didn't. I wouldn't say love. I was close. I liked it a lot.
It was fun for MMO kind of stuff.
But they didn't. The only thing that goes on is whatever happens in the show, at some point, the world changes occur in that game.
Right.
But in the past, there have been companies that have tried to do the show, movie, blah, blah, blah aspect, and it's never worked out. And it's like, even Halo has never worked out. You got all these directors who were planning on doing Halo movies. They never got made. Yeah. And it was like...
Wasn't Spielberg on for one of them, I think?
Spielberg was on, and Blankenkamp, Neil Blankenkamp from like District 9.
Shaky Cam Man.
Oh, dude, can you imagine how terrible that'd be?
Master Chief's around here somewhere.
District blah.
I don't know. I'm driving in a Warthog while I'm filming.
Like, we're gonna loop the Halo. No,
I can't take another.
That dude has some kind of really bad Parkinson's he needs to take care of, because is the only guy I know. He's probably got shaky cam, anti-shaky cam turned on those machines, and they're still fucking shaking like that. God damn, that was bad.
You put like one of those cameras on a paint shaker. That shit.
So it'll be interesting regardless to see how that. Like how it plays out with the tie-in. I just think Quantum Break, Microsoft, you know, they're pushing for it big time. But here's the thing: I think Microsoft and Sony both have a couple games that they're pushing big time that are blockbusters to us, but will never be game blockbusters or sell block. Alan Wake was the same way.
They won't break through.
Just like Longest Guardian Last Guardian. Last Guardian.
Sorry.
There are specific games that are very popular, but will never be. Halo is one of the few that's both.
Right.
Like
Shadow of the Colossus, it was a great game, and it was really critically acclaimed, and everybody who has played it loved it, but it's never been mainstream.
Right, exactly.
So,
like, it's so rare, and so to do all this stuff with the movies and stuff just seems... It doesn't seem like a waste. It just seems like...
It's not going to get diminishing returns.
So, moving on from there, the next section is a section that we like to call... the shitterine, or Twitter shit, and it's Cliffy B again.
He's back. Gets meaner and meaner each time.
I'm back. Coming out of retirement for something, and he said he was going to talk about it, and then like I never saw the Twitter, or the tweet, or the post, or the peep, or whatever you call it. Peep now. The peep.
The peep.
Bit different than a tweet. It's called a peep. I never heard anything.
He's saying sometime in the next 7 days he's going to say something. So I scoured and
so it's an announcement of an announcement of a Twitter of a peep.
Yo dog
of a peep. It is a peep. It really is a peep. So Cliffy B peeped.
Tell your peeps about the peep.
Beep 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 beep. Yeah, I don't know. Bullshit. Like, who gives a fuck anymore? I mean, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm so burned out on that guy's attitude. And especially because what I had bitched about a couple days ago, and his attitude in the last 6 or 7 months about any kind of game development. So, like,
he's just going to go turn around
and
do the
any
exact same
kind
thing.
of advertising. Dude, the guy is like fairly hypocritical now. And it's weird because I think, you know, at the time, maybe with Gears, maybe he was controlled a little bit more, but he was just like, you know, I don't know. Like,
he seems
and
to have
I like
a certain sort of resentment
he
for
does,
something that
he
he
does.
won't talk
And I
about.
loved him in Unreal. I love the Unreal games, and I love Jackrabbit and all that stuff. And I loved Gears.
Yeah.
But there is something definitely like he's sort of like hypocritical about, like, he'll say one thing and then do exactly the opposite. Like, I was blown away by something he said to NeoGaf Twitter, and it wasn't recently, so I didn't put it in this one. But he basically says, you know, NeoGaf, every developer I know thinks you're just a bunch of fucking cunts. And every time you talk or say anything, we all just laugh. And people were like, you know, some developers were like, yeah, I just shake my head, blah, blah, blah. And then some developers were like, well, you just gave them more.
Why,
you just mentioned them on Twitter. Yeah. But what was really strange was that it was, I don't have any problem whatsoever with somebody defending themselves, but I couldn't find anything that had come up at that time that reserved that kind of hatred and that kind of, like, strangely childish response from him. Like, I just don't know what's going on with him. He just seems like, it's like since he got, it's funny because he got married. He got married like a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
To somebody who's seemingly very nice and very, but it's almost like, yeah, it sounds really weird. It's almost like it's bravado. Like, the more I read of his tweets, it's almost like he's like, I'm too fucking cool for my school. Right. And you're just like, well, that's odd, you know, because he did not seem that way. There's no reason
for it.
So I don't know if it's because he married a pretty woman and he got a certain attitude. I have friends who have got married to, you know, either or, and there is an attitude adjustment that actually does occur. People will pretend like they don't change, but of course they change. That's life. Life is about change. If you don't change, you would stink like shit because you never wipe yourself. But you got to change occasionally. But no, he has something going on, and I can't tell what it is, but it's definitely been between his time of leaving Epic and just all this build up. You know, hey, who knows? Maybe what happened is he left and thought everything would be fine and tried and tried and tried. And now what's happened is he's burned out on trying to do a smaller game.
Right.
You know, maybe he's not seen what... I don't know why he didn't just do a Kickstarter if he had an idea for a game. Because with all the Kickstarters
that
like
what was it, Mighty Number 9 is the guy who did Mega Man. He's now doing his own reboot of
because
Mega Man.
Because regardless if I think he's just a complete floating, destroying planets douchebag, I would still give him money if the game was good.
Yeah.
You know, if it looked good, I'd just be like, you know, whatever. The game's worth
play the
getting.
game for the game, not for the maker.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that would be stupid to play it for the maker. And yeah, so I don't know what his issue is. I hope it gets clarified. But that's the only shittering entry I have. I was completely blown away by what he said, but that was it from what I have. Do you have anything on that?
No, I tried to find some more information or even sort of any inkling of a better time scale than like 7 days.
And there was nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
Then I stopped caring.
So that's okay because I think we're almost going over here. So the next section for us today is Prime a controller for my cold dead hands, and we both entered the same thing, which caused utter confusion today because he was on Google Documents, and I was stating how strange it was, and he thought something was wrong with what he was stating. But State of Decay is what we're both playing, and neither one of us knew. Are you playing because of the expansions, the military?
So
expansion?
I'm gonna get back into it to get my feet wet again and to get the systems back in, and
Good,
then I'm going to go and
this.
play Breakdown,
which
is the sandbox. Yeah, because I picked up the Breakdown for like extremely cheap on the Steam sale, and I was going to wait for another round of that to see if they did the Lifeline military one, and it didn't hit my requirement. So I'll probably pick it up again later after I played a little bit. But yeah, I got to get back in, and this time I'm hoping that Marcus isn't going to. So
yeah, he finally died after fucking so long. I remember
it's soul crushing to lose characters.
I remember I got into some like church area or something, and there was one of those big fat motherfuckers.
Oh,
and when he died, I remember just going like, I don't
want to live anymore.
I want to live anymore, Johnny.
It's so bad.
Praise the Lord. I'm in pain. I need healing. Yeah, having him die was one of the most painful experiences I've had in a game, and I remember writing the review for it and just being like, having one of your characters die is like, I can't remember, throwing yourself purposely on something on your balls, I think is what I said. And I remember that is what I felt like. They grabbed him, and I'm like, they grab him a couple times, but before a main character dies, a big guy will grab him a couple times and throw him. And this time, he tore him in half or something. It was like, there's like
no pause, no wait. Yeah,
I was I'm sure that...
Yeah, I can't walk this off.
I bet you he can... No, he'll be fine with that. I mean, right? Like some dirt, some mud, some Band-Aids.
No, I've still got Twinkies in my backpack. Yeah. He's going to be fine.
Just pull the fan belts off and wrap them around my hip bone. Yeah, so we're both playing State of Decay. I'm playing it because the military expansion is completely different.
Oh, okay.
And a completely different style than the other games. So the military expansion drops you down, and basically you start out with an overabundance of supplies that continually whittle away as you go out and start helping people and stuff like that. But day by day they whittle away, and so
not getting any back.
Instead of building, which is really what happens in the first game, you really are going from place to place and building up and doing better and better.
It's all about sustainability. Yeah.
But more so than sustainability, really, because most of the time when you move, you're moving because you can't build any bigger where you are.
Right.
I mean, so technically, it's about it's the inverted pyramid, and in this one, it's a normal pyramid game. You drop in, you have a bunch of stuff, you drop in, you have a bunch of stuff, and then it just sort of, as you continue to play, it's like oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's State of Decay. It is not perfect, but State of Decay, there's something about the way you can help others and find somebody out in the middle of nowhere with like their little refrigerator of items, and if you make them happy enough, they'll follow you.
Yeah.
It's so the programmers did such a good job of making you feel that they've done more than they really did. I still remember I found the place by the paint store. There was like 6 people. And I was trading back and forth with them, and I read online, it's like, well, you can have any group join you and all this stuff, and I was like, well, how did they program? My brain was just like, this is the most amazing thing in the world, like, and then when you do meet up with them, they have these little conversations together and stuff like that. It's just, the game is phenomenal.
It has a lot of systems that are running at the same time for a game that doesn't look much different from, like, say, a GTA 4.
Yeah.
It has so much going on.
It reminds me of like the Final Fantasy games where you always hear somebody talk about the job systems.
Yeah.
But in State of Decay, there are so many other systems, building jobs,
scavenging,
but then like the comments all mean something.
Right.
Hard-headed, you'll be like, so what if he's fucking hard-headed? And then you'll be like, no, that means something. And every time you start the game, it's random for everybody. So your version of Marcus is not my version.
Yeah, and I might have like Bruiser or
I can't remember what my original Marcus is, but I know that'll be a character. I still remember reviewing that game. And this is why I like to talk about old games, because it always gives me like a feeling of nostalgia. But I still remember. I think I was by myself. I don't think you were over. But I remember playing, and I remember killing the first zombie and being like, "Man, this doesn't look very good." Mm-hmm. Like, this is gonna be difficult to review, because it's gonna be difficult to play because it just doesn't look that good. And then we climbed up you climb into the parking lot of that first rest stop
the ranger
area.
station.
Yeah, ranger station. And I killed the zombie there, and I go inside. And we start talking, and then you go up to the water tower, and you do the eye thing.
Yeah, the scout,
Yeah. And I was already starting to get, not necessarily bored, but just like, hands off of the game. I was like, what is this game? Mm-hmm. And then a couple times I would go to the tents, and I would start to collect stuff. And I think what happens is, that game suffers, because if you were to go to the tents and to explore the local area, it could be considered a very boring game. Mm-hmm. The first 10 hours of that game could be fucking mind-numbingly boring if all you did
until you
was
get
go.
To the church.
Yeah, all you did was go. Luckily, about 4 months into it, I'm just like, I don't want to keep traveling. And then you drive, and then you get into town, you go into that church, and then just shit starts happening.
Yeah.
Your friend is ill because he got the bite, and you're just like, oh my god, the fucking minister's there, and you can start building stuff. And every single second that you're hitting that bumper button, there's a new fucking, thing to do.
Right.
Like, there's just...
Yeah, there's stats to raise, there's items to gather, there's things
people
to build,
and people you can call them and like ask for help later. And
well, the
stuff
relationships
like
that you have to deal with, you know, in a closed space. I mean, that's just it's an odd thing to see.
And people
will
just run away.
Yeah,
you know?
it's odd to see that mechanic in that way in a game like this, but it's awesome to have.
One of the things I hate, and I've told you this, and I know we disagree, but I despise with just a sheer passion is that they remove the fact that they can die while you're not there.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the most. I do like hard. I've said it. You know, I can like an easy game, but when a game is really hard and it fits, man, I'm all for it. And a game like Walking Dead or a game like State of Decay, when your characters can die when you're not awake, that to me actually feels realistic. Like I'm going to sleep, right? I'm like,
it's absolutely realistic, but at the same time, it seems like it's just a mean penalty kick to the balls for like no. I mean, I understand that it may be a decision like it keeps the tension up, but it doesn't seem like it's a fair reason. Like you didn't play badly and have this happen. The game like ran the numbers and said, "Nope, you got to go." You know, this musical chairs means you.
And
have
then
nowhere
every
to sit.
single game, there are thousands that when you go to sleep and wake up and your characters have still gained money, should never allow you to gain money because those
and
are
that's
unfair.
the other side of it. Yeah,
because you're getting
totally
positives for no reason.
And I
so
understand that.
my belief is that, like those games that reduce the positives you get when you're not there, but you're still getting them. State of Decay, it was known that the chances of a character actually dying were very low. They were like a percent of a percent, and it would as it went, you know, that would of course even the smallest percent gets bigger.
You're gonna roll that. You're gonna roll that one eventually.
Yeah, at some point you're gonna get craps. You're gonna be like, so to me it wasn't to me it wasn't an issue, but I still remember the discussion we had at work where I was like, I don't fucking care that they took it out as much as I care that those motherfuckers took it out and didn't leave it in the menu. The fact
as an option, yes,
that
I don't understand.
You can't turn that on and off and say I want hardcore or hardcore what I bought from you, because technically that's one of the first games I've ever played where they changed a game mechanic and didn't allow for an option. Yeah. Like it was the first time and I went in the moment I heard. I went home and I was like,
oh, no.
I better be able to fucking have my guys die when I'm not playing, because there was a sense of like, man, I better get in there and, you know, and
keep everybody going.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just sort of upset by it. And then let's see, what other games? I've been playing Snipe. I played Elite Sniper and did the review for that.
This is a great review.
That game is it's all about balls, man. It's all
why
the game. I don't know,
this
and I don't. Was 2 or 3 about balls?
I know this is not a new mechanic, but I think they're playing it up a lot more for this.
It's like ball camp. Yeah. It's like cinema ball camp
every day.
The thing that I liked about it is that it's the first one of all their games that just feels like a full game. You could do all this stuff, and you could just shivvy McShiv. Like you could get through half a level without shooting, and then when you do shoot, you know, all the stuff you can do to create sound, like kicking machinery to cause it to go like
and then draw them,
and then like it would show you this ever escalating like sound wave to tell you how loud it was, so you could fire over it. No, not draw them. You could fire during that sound.
And mask your position. And okay.
But the game was hilarious, and it was actually a very fun game. Like I had a blast playing it, and it felt, even though they've made such a name for themselves calling it Sniper, there's a lot more to it. Unfortunately, the sniper camera doesn't turn off with the other weapons.
Oh, so you could be using a
9mm,
and it's still going to be
at least every time I fired, and that's unfortunate. Now, if I'm wrong, that'd be great, because one of the things that upset me is I think it would be awesome if you fucking do the knife.
Oh, just
grab somebody's back, peel somebody's head back, and then you're like, and it's like as you show the knife go in. I mean, they went out of their way to like flint. So, for example, you have like dynamite. You can throw that and shoot it; it blows up. But if you throw dynamite down, you can also get flint and steel and like light it, and then create a remote detonation that takes longer.
Okay.
The way people go about things. There's a lot to that game. Yeah, and I think that's about all I'm playing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Are you playing anything else besides State of Decay?
Still playing Watch Dogs, but also every so often I'll get this urge to reinstall and start playing Uplink. But like
that's that hacker game, right?
Yeah, where there's like a There's a couple of different mods for that one. I put one called OnLink, which basically they go in and give you a whole bunch of different more computer components and more missions and stuff like that. It's basically just a fan-made add-on kind of thing. So I usually play that one because it has a lot more options. And yeah, it's the Hollywood style of hacking.
Actually, I was just going to ask, is it the Hollywood style? So you're not actually entering in ASCII stuff?
No, nothing like that. It's not like you can't actually go and like actually hack this way, but it's like it's bouncing, your call trace and then going in and removing the logs and stuff like that and using password crackers, and it's
more interesting than I thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought it was the true hacking. I was like,
yeah, because that's riveting.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, like who wants to learn that shit? Yeah. Or I thought it was even a more in-depth fake hacking. But
no,
if it's more like swordfish or sneakers, then I would be all for it. Sneakers.
Well, even to the point where you'll go and you'll make a call and you'll get voice print samples of somebody, of like the bank manager, and you can put that as like, okay, my voice is my password, that kind of stuff.
My voice is my password.
Yeah, and it's dumb, but
my voice
fun.
is my platypus. Verify my platypus.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying that like I always do, and I'll play that for a bit. But it's one of those games like Freelancer that
I like Smugglers 4 or 5. I can't remember. It's V. V is 5. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Smugglers 5, which is. It fucking plays in a window like this big, and it's like thousands of galaxies, and you like trade or fly around. It's just this. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like not even a full game. It's like a.
Well, it's not like
it's like Uplink where there's not a lot really going on. You just like move. You can buy from one planet, sell to another. You can go to other galaxies. There's a couple groups that are involved. You can do some exploring, blah blah blah, and battles turn based, and it's like. You push a missile button, it's like, like
very
this,
basic can
very
animation.
basic, and I play the fuck out of it. So
okay,
I mean, I understand playing that one. And then let's see what else. I think I'm getting. I thought I did hear from Focus that I'm getting sticks, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I thought it was them. But up next. I will probably tonight, or maybe I'll Twitch. I might end up twitching. Can't do it. I was hoping to Twitch State of Decay, but I guess I could through my PC. But I've never been able to get Twitch to work through my PC very well.
Can't use the NVIDIA capture stuff.
I have NVIDIA. I have my own AVR card. I have my own all this stuff, and for some reason, it just never really looks that good. Even the Xbox One said, even though all my settings, it was like. So in Twitch, I was like, check settings. It was like you have, a 24 megabyte download, and a 4 to 7 megabyte upload. Your MTU is like 1458 or whatever, and your MS is like 40.
Okay.
Like, so everything's super good.
Right.
The moment I hit, that I wanted to Twitch, it was like lagging. Like there's something odd about my setup here at this house, I think, when it comes to stuff like that. I've always wondered why. I mean, sometimes we'll play a game like Dead Rising. I don't think we ever had a problem with Dead Rising.
No, I mean, there was no lag at all.
Baby smooth. So, but for some reason, Twitch itself has always had issues. So, I think it's my upload speed. I think something about the upload with our internet service provider. There's something about it that either just isn't good enough, or they have a setting that I haven't done, or something like that. So I'll probably check into that. But so unless you have anything else,
no, that's pretty much.
So
it.
For closing, I just want to say thanks for everybody for listening. I know this one went. I think this one went a little extra long. Sorry.
Bonus.
We ended up talking about movies and shit. I just want to tell everybody, if you get a chance, hit up Patreon and see if you can help us out there. We would really appreciate it. It doesn't have to be a lot, but the smallest amount, helps us continue going on. And I'm sure you've already, I would hope you've already noticed that we're putting out a ton more content. I think there's been at least one video every day, if not 2 or 3 a day. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff we can expect, but only if 2 pairs of glasses. But only if. We can get some help. It's one of the things that, after a certain amount of time, I'm basically burning through my time and money as quick as possible trying to get this stuff out there. So anything you guys can do to help, spread the word, tell people. You know, I normally say, you know, like it or dislike it at the end of a review. I really do mean that. If you did like it, please hit like, because I've noticed, I've gone in sometimes and seen 40, 50, 60 comments where people say, I love this review, but didn't give it a like. I got 6 likes, and I'm like, wait, what? You know, so what I mean by that is, like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, but do one of the two, and then pick subscribe. You know, pick a side. God damn it, pick a side. It's dodgeball, motherfucker. You can't just stand on the sidelines. And then subscribe. You know, or get your friends to subscribe. Anything you can do to help, as much as possible. You know, this too will pass. But right now, I'm going to ask without any kind of ego or shame about it that, you know, I want to do this. I want to keep it going, but I'm going to need everybody's help. So. If anybody has any questions about any of that, you can feel free to email me at angrycentaurgaming.com or angrycentaurgaming@gmail.com. I always want to ignore Gmail. Or you can get me on Twitter, any other place. You can even ask me a question on Twitch, and we'll go ahead and put some of the contact information in the descriptions. And I guess that's it, unless you have anything.
Nope. That's good.
All right. See you guys later. Peace out, bitches.